All right. Thursday, October 16th, CoinZone fam, what is going on? I am your host, Crypto with Paul. Appreciate you guys for tapping in. So, what do I want to discuss today? Let's get right into it. So, as I said yesterday, mid-live stream, Anthony Pompliano went on the PBD Podcast, and there's some things that I want to discuss here because it's very fitting. A day before, we see this big announcement from this morning. So breaking news, Ripple announces major acquisition of G Treasury for $1 billion. Right. Okay, so a day before this, Anthony Pompliano goes on PBD. PBD asks him about Ripple, and Pomp discusses some acquisitions. So it's very fitting, very timely, but beforehand, they kind of discuss what happened the past weekend with the markets, how Trump is kind of playing with it. He knows what he's doing. I think Pomp breaks it down in a way that's easy to understand and digest. So we'll look at 5 or 6 minutes of the opening of this clip here, and then we'll cut to the XRP part, and then we'll just look at a couple other things, some market updates, and we'll go from there, guys. I appreciate you for tapping in. If you haven't subbed on YouTube, go ahead and do that for me right now. Make sure to like on the way in, and let's get right into this.
Crypto crash. Okay, they keep using that phrase, crypto crash. But to the people that are in the space of crypto, I'm going to read this to you and I'm going to turn it over to you. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP jump after crypto crash. What is fueling the rebound? Let me read this. Robin, I think you got a couple video clips on this as well, if you want to pull them up. Okay, so Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were rallying on Monday, paring back some of their losses following President Trump's renewed tariff threat against China. Bitcoin was up 3.7% to $115,000 within 24 hours, according to CoinDesk. It's still trading about 9% off the record high, which was around 130, 131. I don't know the exact number. It hit earlier this month. Ethereum jumped 9%. Solana jumped 8.2%. XRP up 9.4% within 24 hours. The tokens plummeted on Friday, with Bitcoin racking up double-digit percentage losses and failing below $110,000 at one point. The sell-off came after Trump threatened to hike tariffs on China, which likely sapped investors' appetite for risk assets. What's really going on here? Is it really the reaction to tariffs? Is that what the fear was? What do you think caused the crash?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are worth unpacking. First of all is Trump understands market hours of the stock market. So what did he do? He waited till the stock market closed on Friday, and then he came out and said, hey, we're going to put the 100% tariff on. I don't think that's a coincidence. As the market corrected in after-hour stock, there's just not that many people who have access to the aftermarket stock. So what do? They look in their portfolio and they say, well, what market is open? What market has liquidity right now? If I want to sell, if I want to change my financial life or my portfolio, I'm going to sell cryptocurrency. And so Bitcoin specifically sold off. It sold off $13,000, which is a pretty big move, right? I mean, an asset went down $13,000 in a single day, but it's only about 10%. And so if you go back and you look at all these bull markets, historically, there have been multiple 30% drawdowns in these bull markets. And so this, I joke, is like a crypto crash for ants to the crypto crowd. Now, to the stock market, if the stock market goes down 10, 20%, they're freaking out. They're talking about the Great Depression. They're, 1929, they're doing all that kind of stuff. In the crypto, again, it doesn't feel good to see your assets go down 10%, but it is still pretty small compared to what everyone has lived through. There's somebody who was chirping at me on Twitter yesterday, and they said, why are you saying that we shouldn't be worried about a market correction? I said, my brother, we've lived through 80% drawdowns in 4 years. Right. I said, your stock market crashes, they don't even register for the crypto people. So I think that plays into a lot of what's going on with the retail folks.
By the way, it's interesting what you say. The fact that for the regular guys that are trading after hours, they're like, what do I mess with now?
They don't have access to anything.
They don't have access to anything. What they do with crypto, you can track what Bitcoin's doing.
Gold's closed, stocks are closed, bonds are closed, everything is closed.
Oh, wow.
Now, here's the thing, is Trump on Sunday night, I posted this meme. It's like abracadabra, make the markets go back up, right? And what does he do? He tweets out an hour and a half before a futures open on Sunday night. The guy knows what he's doing. And so that's fine. Understand that. But I think the bigger thing about crypto and Bitcoin in particular is if you sold your Bitcoin because of geopolitical uncertainty, you had no clue what you were holding.
Great. 100% agree with him there. Let's just pause there real quick. So I think Pomp makes some great points here. Okay. First off, if you sold your Bitcoin, like he said, you don't really know what you're holding. Now, Bitcoin just crashed, right? Under $108,000. Everyone's talking about it. Today seems to be a choppy market. We're going to look at what's going on basically after this clip and after we play that XRP clip and talk about XRP a little bit. But right now, I think everyone was expecting October 15th to really kick off some massive gains. Maybe it'll start at the 20th. But right now, everything is continuing to remain choppy after last week. I think Pomp just broke it down, how Trump knew exactly what he was doing. And obviously, when Bitcoin is the most liquid asset out of all of these different assets, right, as he pointed out, you really can't do these things over the weekend on the stock market. So there is one market that is open, and that was Bitcoin. Now, the insane thing is 10% in crypto is basically nothing, like he was saying. Altcoins went down like 60, 50, 60, 80% in hours. That's absolutely insane. So that is either two ways you can look at it: opportunity or a lot of downside and you can't stomach it. Guys, I think if you've been here in this space for a long time, it's really nothing. You understand what's going on. You have a longer term mindset, but again, these things are hard to stomach in the meantime when they're actually happening. So I think that's enough. Maybe a couple more minutes of Pomp, and then around the 9-minute mark, I'm going to kick it to the XRP situation. So let's just get back to it.
The whole point of Bitcoin is that it is a non-sovereign asset. It is supposed to be the safe haven that you can go and hold regardless of what any government in the world does. And so I think that's part of what people are trying to figure out now is the hardcore Bitcoiners, they know that. They're looking to buy on dips, but you still get tons of new people who come in. And obviously, leverage plays a huge part of this. And so the big story over the weekend was there was $19 billion of leverage that got wiped out. Now, you can look at that as how the prices went down. The way I look at it is we just reset the entire leverage in the system, and therefore that probably clears us so that we can go higher.
Yeah, so it says historic $19 billion sell-off, but two accounts made $160 million. I don't know if you saw this article or not. The two accounts that placed bets against the market minutes before the news broke scored $160 million windfall. Bitcoin dropped 12%. Less popular tokens saw declines as steep as 80%. CoinGlass, a crypto data platform. Ahead of the sell-off, two accounts on Hyperliquid, a decentralized exchange that allows investors to make leverage bets on future crypto prices, place massive bets that Bitcoin would and Ether would fall by day's end Friday. The positions were closed for $160 million in profits.
Okay, let's pause there real quick. I think it's worth mentioning a podcast as big as PBD, a guy as big as he is, they just mentioned Hyperliquid to a big audience there. Now, this is an audience where he's had on Michael Saylor before. He's had on a couple crypto people before, Pomp being one of them right now as of yesterday, right? But mainly it's been a discussion about Bitcoin, not much else. So to see him now talking about Ethereum, XRP, I know PBD has done XRP videos in the past, but now to see him talking about Hyperliquid, not in a way that he's gassing it up or investing in it or whatever, but just mentioning the name to a big audience, I think is something. And yeah, let's go from there.
When you see stuff like this, this is the Wall Street Journal story right there. These guys made $160 million. How much do you know about this story? Do you know much about what happened?
I've been paying attention to it. So a couple of things. $19 billion, if you wipe out $19 billion of leverage, that doesn't mean that people holding cryptocurrencies lost $19 billion, right? If you put $10 in, but you get $100 of leverage, right? You didn't put $100, you put $10 in. So there's some math that I think is a little bit misleading. The second thing is, when prices go down, sometimes people make money. When prices go up, people make money. It's all about what are they positioned, how are they positioned, all that kind of stuff. There is a trend that is happening in America, but also globally, which is the intertwining of finance and entertainment. And what you now see is whether it's the prediction markets, whether you see it's the stock market, whether you see crypto, people want something to talk about. I joke all the time, like financial markets have become like soap operas for young people. And so not only is there the gambling or speculation component to it, but what now in crypto is you have on-chain analytics. You can go and you can see what are the positions people are taking, what wallets are moving, right? All this information is almost like kind of new media to them. And so what people do is, oh my God, there's this big liquidation. They immediately begin scouring all this data, trying to find some storyline. Who caused it? Who knew what, right? Who made money here? And so when they find this, they kind of latch on to it. Now, does this person have information about the tariffs? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know who the person is, right? And so I tend to think that good investors, they're not paying attention to this stuff. They're just saying to themselves, listen, I want to continue to acquire this asset, hold it for a long time. This is more entertainment factor.
Do we know who these two people are? You can't know.
Okay, so let's just skip ahead forward to the XRP, but I thought the beginning of that whole discussion was very interesting to me. All right, everything that he's basically saying about Bitcoin, we're in new times, guys. This isn't the way that TradFi is going to be moving forward. You know, how everything operated for decades. We now have different systems that are changing how investing works. Okay, and we can thank blockchain for that. So let's kick it forward to about the 9:30 mark. And they're going to talk about these acquisitions. And I just want to pause here and listen to Pomp talk about
This is the Haleakala boxer
XRP
brief.
and these acquisitions, because as of today, XRP went and did this. So Ripple announces major acquisition of G Treasury, $1 billion. Pretty crazy. Okay, so G Treasury is partnered with Swift, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and more. Let's keep it moving. G Treasury is connected to 13,000 banks and has done over 12.5 trillion in payments. That's crazy. All right. So let's listen to Pomp talk about this with XRP and their acquisitions. He's 90+% Bitcoin in his portfolio, he said, but he's an unbiased guy. And what he said here is, I think, wise to listen to. So let's listen to Pomp break down the XRP Ripple acquisitions.
I think it's probably the only truly institutional asset that you're going to see central banks and others start to buy over time.
What do you think about XRP? The conversations with XRP, with Ripple, whether it's the technology or the coin.
I think that the market is very, very good at figuring out where value ends up accruing. And what you see in, let's call it outside of Bitcoin, in the top 10 coins, what you will start to see is Bitcoin's dominance has not only remained constant, it has actually gone up over time. And so I think that the market is assigning Bitcoin as kind of in a class of its own. Now, if you then go into, let's say, coins 2 through 10, what you start to find is those are much more akin to me to like technology stocks. There's a lot of competition there, right? So take XRP. My understanding is that they have a couple of different things that they've done. They're trying to do the stablecoin, right? Well, they've got a lot of competition from Tether, Circle. Now all of a sudden Stripe's getting in the game. Like there's a whole bunch of competition. There will probably be multiple winners, but it's heavy, heavy competition. On top of that, one of the things that is interesting to me, not so much about XRP the coin, but about Ripple the company, is they have this kind of engine to generate profit and monetize that XRP. They've started to acquire real companies. So what they did is they bought, I think one of the companies was called Hidden Road, and these are like big acquisitions. These aren't like $5 acquisitions. These are like $1 billion+ acquisitions that they're doing.
Rob, can you pull up companies Ripple acquired?
And so what you're starting to see is, again, there's incredible controversy and debate, I think, over is XRP going to be sustainable? Is it something that people are going to use? But what they've started to do is they started to take them. I mean, look, $200 million acquisition, $1.25 billion acquisition, $250 million acquisition, right? And so what they're doing is they're essentially using the monetization of their balance sheet, and they're starting to acquire real companies. Now, what I will say is we have seen this happen in traditional finance over time. You have a company that has very controversial or maybe unsustainable kind of business model, but they have some access to capital, and they begin to convert that into something else. And look, the Bitcoin treasury companies, a lot of them had companies that weren't working, and they said, well, why don't I just start to buy Bitcoin? And all of a sudden, they kind of revived their business. And so I think that this is very interesting. Now, there's kind of a delineation between XRP and Ripple, but I think that this acquisition stuff, people in the industry, even the people who don't like XRP, I think are saying to themselves, hey, that Hidden Road, that's a real company. Pay $1.25 billion for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you may be able to end up with an entire set of infrastructure there that you can then go and actually build a business with.
What does Hidden Road do?
Hidden Road, if I remember correctly, they do a lot of it's like market infrastructure, right? So like again, it goes back to this idea of where value accrues in the crypto industry is really kind of two, and really in finance in general. There's two buckets. You have the retail facing platforms, and then you have institutional facing like infrastructure. And so the retail platforms, that's your Coinbases, Binances, Geminis, Tethers, all those guys. But then you've got this like institutional infrastructure, everything from market making to, here you go. So like a global credit network for institutions, prime brokerage, clearing, financing, right? All this stuff that is very institutional in nature.
Is it like a Pershing? Is that what would it be considered is Hidden Road Company Ripple acquire like a Pershing company? What is a Hidden Road? Yes, it is. Okay, sounds good. So I got it. I understand it. Okay, I mean that's a big deal to buy something like that at 1.25 billion. And the guy that's running it, I think his name is Brad. I can't say his
Brad
last name.
Garlinghouse.
Yeah, he seems like a very intellectual guy. He's involved on the. I've seen him with the Trump administration, a couple different things with them. But he doesn't just sound like one of these guys that came and created a coin. Hey, let's sell a bunch of stuff and then let's go. They're actually creating technology and buying technology. Good for them. So you're optimistic because you hear some people talk about Ripple could replace Swift. Possibility of that. Of course, the likelihood of that happening is less than 5%.
I wouldn't go that far. In terms of, I think I know Brad. I think Brad is a nice guy. I think that the strategy that they're pursuing at Ripple is, if you were in their situation, I think it's very smart to go and acquire these businesses. I've always just said that, my focus is on Bitcoin because I think of that there's two problems in the world that I care about, and they're very interrelated. The first is I believe that the single biggest issue, if you can correct this one issue, it will have a profound impact on people's lives around the globe, is if you can basically stop the debasement of the currency. If you can stop that, then all of a sudden now what you do is you stop this silent theft, and now you allow people to actually keep the economic value that they've worked hard to earn. And so Bitcoin to me is the solution to that problem. There's kind of this heuristic of people have been complaining about this for decades, centuries, right? If you go back through all these societies, Bitcoin is the first technology solution to the problem. And so I think that is a very profound solution that is going to have an impact that we quite don't understand yet, frankly, right? So I think that's one big problem. The second problem that I'm very interested in is this idea of the little guy or the quote unquote retail investor being able to get a level playing field against these large institutions. And I think that those two issues are very interrelated because now what we know in this country is you can't be a saver, you need to be an investor. As these retail folks realize I have to become an investor, they need access to information, they need access to the market. So
let's go ahead and look at the Ripple acquisitions just based off of everything that's happening today with G Treasury, and then we're going to take a look at 6 other ones. This was last updated 14 days ago, so it doesn't have this one included, but we're going to start here and talk about G Treasury first. So if you guys are with me right now, make sure to sub on YouTube. Go check out our last episode on YouTube because we had on Armando Pantoja. I'll just show you guys real fast before we get into it. Episode's doing great already. This was an awesome discussion. If you're in the XRP community watching right now, you will love this. Go ahead and check that out. Make sure to like the video. But let's get right back to it. Let's talk about G Treasury. All right, because I showed a couple of different things before, right? Now we're going to read an article by CoinDesk about it. So Ripple set to enter corporate treasury business with $1 billion acquisition of G Treasury. Okay. Ripple, the blockchain firm closely associated with XRP Ledger Network, is acquiring treasury software provider G Treasury for $1 billion, pushing deeper into corporate finance. G Treasury's platform, used by Fortune 500 enterprise for managing cash, foreign exchange, and risk, will become part of Ripple's expanding suite of financial tools, the firm told CoinDesk on Thursday. Yeah. The acquisition is set to close in the coming months, subject to regulatory approvals. It added, so this deal brings Ripple into direct contact with large treasury departments, many of which still rely on legacy systems to manage billions in liquidity. Yes, so quote unquote, for too long, money has been stuck in slow, outdated payment systems and infrastructure, causing unnecessary delays, high costs, and roadblocks to entering new markets. Problems that blockchain technologies are ideally suited to solve. That's from Brad, our big guy, Brad Garlinghouse. Brad's done a great job building partnerships, is what he's, I think, really good at as a businessman, a standpoint. He's good at bridging relationships and getting partnerships to happen. Something I asked Armando in the interview that came out yesterday, so go check it out. Just to say that again, something I asked him is how important is Brad Garlinghouse and maybe say David Schwartz to the success of XRP moving forward? And I think this is a good example. He mentioned XRP has a place because Wall Street guys want to meet with somebody to do business, right? You can't meet with Satoshi Nakamoto, but you can meet with the Brad Garlinghouse and shake hands and connect and do a deal together, right? So I think because Brad's influence, I think this is super positive. I don't think you would see a lot of these deals happen with Ripple. You know, it's not like XRP is going and doing this. No, it's Brad Garlinghouse who holds up Ripple. So a lot of this is good, guys. And shout out to Pomp for basically breaking this down and being unbiased, even though he's not a holder of XRP. It is very impressive what they've been able to do and the different financial products that they have been accumulating. So Ripple has completed a total of 6 acquisitions. Peak activity was in 2025 and 2023 with 2 acquisitions each. Now 3 for 2025. While 2024 saw 1. Acquisitions spanned 4 countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada. These involved 4 sectors. That's only, okay. Led by cryptocurrency with 3 acquisitions, followed by digital remittance. Okay. Horizontal e-commerce. From 2019 to 2024, the average annual acquisition rate was 0.6 so far the calendar year. 2 acquisitions have been completed, now 3. The most recent involved Rail, a payments infrastructure platform offering a cross-border payment solution. Founded in 2021 and based in Toronto, it was completed in August 2025. So check this out, guys. Now, I know in that interview, Pomp said, they asked him, PBD said, oh, it's going to possibly replace Swift. He kind of chuckled and said, I wouldn't go that far. However, when you're looking at these different acquisitions, G Treasury is incorporated with Swift, JP Morgan, all these companies and banks, etc. I mean, you can't deny what's going on. You have to put your eyes on it. It's very impressive. So recent acquisitions by Ripple. Ripple's most recent acquisition, Rail, is a payments infrastructure. Again, this is 2 weeks outdated, so now it's G Treasury is their latest. This is the second latest, Rail. Platform that provides a cross-border payment solution founded in 2021 and located in Toronto. So this is the history as of late. Okay, so Rail, right? August 7th of this year, Hidden Road, $1.25 billion acquisition. They just talked about that in the PBD clip with Anthony Pompliano. Standard Custody, wow, undisclosed. That was 2024, one in 2023. Fortress Trust, Medico. Okay, that was 2023 as well. So it is very important to keep up to date with what Ripple is doing, guys. Okay, you just don't see a lot of guys like Brad Garlinghouse out doing moves like this. I think the Avalanche founder of Ava Labs, the CEO of Ava Labs, I think he's done a great job at bridging relationships, doing partnerships. Obviously, Sergey Nazarov of Chainlink has done an amazing job, I think, as well. Charles Hoskinson of Cardano. We just saw Midnight partner with Google, and Cardano partnered with the Dubai Police Department, and they have other partnerships, and they have, interoperability, and they're doing deals with XRP and other chains. I believe it was Near Protocol recently, or maybe it was Terra, I forget which one. But yeah, I think it's very important, especially if you're a top blue chip cryptocurrency. How are you going to set yourself apart? Because we see some come and go. I saw someone looking and tweeting today about Polkadot, saying it was a dead chain. I don't know, guys. Unfortunately, there's a ton of different things you need to take into consideration. And I don't think Polkadot's a bad project necessarily. I mean, they have you can earn a good yield on Polkadot with staking. But let's just look at this. I mean, there's a lot of different metrics to take into consideration. It's down 27% on the year. All-time high was, 50 something dollars. I mean, if it can get up to that, we're at $3 right now. That'd be a hell of a return. But the question is, what's going on in the community? Where are the developers, etc.? If you don't believe that it can get back up to that $11, or $52, then it might be a dead chain. And when was this? This was the last bull run, right? November. If it can get back up there, then great. But I don't know, guys. This is the whole point. You have to be relevant. You have to do things to stay relevant. And I think some of these guys like a Brad Garlinghouse just know that. Now, let's go back to this again. Let's read a tweet directly from Brad Garlinghouse today. This is breaking news, guys. This was as of 2 hours ago. Today, Ripple is breaking into the $120 trillion corporate treasury payments market with the $1 billion acquisition of the Treasury. The past few years have reminded this industry why payments, first and foremost, is the primary use case for crypto and blockchain. Payments are where Ripple first started for exactly these reasons. The infrastructure is complex, siloed, and inefficient, but as we know, perfectly positioned to benefit from decentralized financial technologies. Yeah, right now, he mentions stablecoins. Ripple will be able to help CFOs manage all their assets, include stablecoins, tokenized deposits, etc. Yeah, mentions Hidden Road. Honestly, guys, I honestly think that this is kind of genius. I'm not going to lie. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because you have the most knowledgeable Wall Street guys talking about the importance of stablecoins, how big that's going to be. Tokenized assets, tokenized deposits, how big that's going to be. If Ripple is setting up to position themselves to be able to handle all of this, then how are you going to deny it? It's easily arguably the second most name recognition to the average retail person, right? Everyone knows Bitcoin. Number 2 is either ETH or XRP. I would say ETH, but you can't deny how big XRP is just as a name brand, right? A lot of people know about XRP. When people talk to me that know I'm in crypto and they ask me questions, I always get asked about XRP. So it's hard to not acknowledge, guys. Just being completely honest. And let's go back to Coinbase real quick. Look at the market cap, guys. Bigger than Solana. Number 3 now, number 4 now behind BNB. It was 3 for a while for not counting stablecoin Tether, but still a top 5. And again, what a lot of people think when you have this psychological advantage, I think that XRP does, when you see a flood of new investors who look at Bitcoin's price, $107,000, Ethereum's price, just under 4K, Binance price over 1,000, and then you have XRP just $2. Psychologically, people are going to favor the $2 asset. Okay, so I think XRP is very, very well positioned, and I still think it's undervalued. So let's see the peak that we got to, right? The all-time high for Ripple. Thought we passed over $4 at some point, 366. All the way back when Ripple had its all-time high, 384. We got close to that, I believe. But, look at this, guys. We have nothing burger going on for a while. You have lawsuits, the SEC down its back, tons of fines. Hard to build during that process. Now things are changing, okay? So don't sleep on Ripple. Definitely don't sleep on Brad Garlinghouse. I think this guy does a lot, okay? And he kind of looks like a chipmunk a little bit in a good way, okay? I'm not here to pick on anybody. I always just make weird comparisons. For some reason, it's just how my brain works, okay? But the point is, guys, do not sleep on Brad Garlinghouse's ability to get deals done. And don't sleep on Ripple. Okay, this spending spree further cements Ripple as the number 1 most aggressive acquirer in crypto. Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. Ripple's and G Treasury's capabilities together bring the best of both worlds, so Treasury and finance teams can finally put their trapped capital to work, process payments instantly, and open up new growth opportunities. This is huge, guys. Ripple once again taking the spotlight and the news. And we're going to flood it back to us here at the Coin Zone because I want you guys to go check out our last episode with Armando Pantoja, Tall Guy Tycoon, XRP bull he is. We had a discussion about XRP in this episode. So make sure to go check that out, guys, if you haven't already. And do me a favor as well. If you end up liking the video, then hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Consider sharing it with somebody. That's all I ask of you guys. And if you like this video here, if you felt like you got value from this live stream at all, then give this video a thumbs up as well and subscribe to us. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. My name is Paul. I'll be back again later for another live stream, so tap in once you see this go live again. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Eat some food, be good, okay? I'll see you soon.